What's the difference between gambling and investing? Well, I can promise you one of the first things it's definitely not is doing it without any research. Okay. This whole episode is going to be about do's and don'ts when it comes to investing your money. This is the Gen Ed Show. I'm your host, Eduardo de las Cuevas. Welcome back. I want to start this episode by referencing a really great book that I read back in 2020 by Morgan Housel, published, 2020. It's called The Psychology of Money. I've seen it turn into a very hot topic book, so if you've read it, great on you. It definitely is a great read. If you haven't, join the trend. Definitely a good bandwagon to hop on. Anyway, so there's a lot of different things that obviously you can get from the book, and this isn't going to be a super long episode, so I'm going to give you the one big takeaway that I've really loved and has just made a lot of sense for me when it comes to investing. And that's the difference between reasonable investing and rational investing. So I'll start first with rational investing. Rational investing makes sense. I mean, that's the point. It's called rational investing. The logic is there. The math makes sense. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you do this? That's rational investing. I mean, it doesn't get much deeper than that. It sounds exactly as it sounds. And so you can commonly see this dynamic when you're hanging out with friends, perhaps that you typically talk about money with or talk about investing with. And this is where it'll come into like, bro, you should definitely do this, man. Like, have you seen how far up this thing has gone? And like how much further in the technology that they have behind this and like the marketing and the team and like, look at this, bro. Something like that, right? Point in it being is that obviously will sound a lot better. It's called rational investing, not illogical. But it can sound rational as well, right? It can make sense. The justification can feel right. Everybody's doing it type of syndrome, just FOMO. I've done that. My experience, you got to do your research because so the first thing to not do is to invest money that you can't afford to lose, right? And so this is one of the big things. Thankfully, it's not like I couldn't afford to lose it, but it definitely wasn't a small amount that I would have liked to have lost, right? It was still me being FOMOing into different things that I was noticing online or that friends of mine were mentioning. And so one of the big things is obviously don't invest money that you can't afford to lose. And so rational investing can sound nice, but if you can't sleep at night, which I had many nights where that was exactly the case, why bother? And the reason why my stance is against rational investing is because I like Warren Buffett's style. Long term, I'm not worried about it right now. What do I feel super confident about? And I'm not trying to test the waters here. I want to know what I like. This seems very like safe and good, and it's going to definitely beat inflation and have a decent return. I like that philosophy. Okay, and this goes into reasonable investing. Reasonable investing is where you can sleep at night. Simple as that. Okay. This is where like, yes, I know that if I were to put in an extra 10 grand, I'll have that much more of a return. Or if I put in an extra 100 grand, I'll put in that much more of a return. Or yes, like if I go ahead and invest into this sector because it's really popping off, like, yes, I'll probably have this much of a return. But I can't tell if it's my stomach. Maybe it was the Chinese food I ate. Like, I don't know. But this doesn't feel right. I just don't know if I could sleep well at night and not be worried. And for me, that was the worst feeling, was just constantly checking the tickers, checking the spread and seeing what's going on. And I don't really care to deal with it, frankly. I want to have my money as I grow a lot of money to just definitely be there. I like less volatility, frankly, or at least something that I feel so dang certain about that the volatility is like not a big deal to me, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Yeah, definitely Bitcoin. There's too many banks and soon enough countries adopting it. So with it, the big question that I want you to really ask yourself though is, what is your relationship with money? How would you define it? You know, the same way you had to define a friendship with somebody. How would you define your relationship with money? How do you talk about it when it's not around? You know, how do you talk about it with your friends, with those that you care about, right? And so I want you to really ask yourself this, because this is also going to come into when it comes to how you invest money. And I want to just face some like clear realities that especially when it comes to passive income or investing as a passive income strategy, all respective to your current active income capabilities. So for example, if you don't have a large active income and you're not exactly coming from a silver spoon kind of background, the idea that you're going to be getting rich off of investments to the moon, I just wouldn't bank on it. And you shouldn't feel bad if someone is ever bringing up ideas of investing, because think of it like this. Let's say you get 10% return. 10% return is a pretty nice, like, very respectable return. If you're getting 10% returns on everything and you were to show a portfolio of 10% returns or greater, no one's going to think anything less of you. That's good. So point in this being, if you had $1,000 at a 10% return, let's say over the course of a year, then that's $1,100, right? 10% of 1,000 is 100. You add that to the 1,000, you profited $100 because you put in $1,000. Depending on your situation, $1,000 can be like a lot to not be able to use or have any access to, you know, because you wanted to grow the 10%, right? Okay, but let's take it a little bit higher. It's just $1,000, honestly. So what about 10 grand? 10 grand at 10%? Well, now you got $1,000. So now you've made $1,000 over the course of a year. That's 11 grand, right? It's not bad. I mean, but are you going to be losing your mind because you made $1,000 over the course of 12 months because you put 10 grand in this investment vehicle? No. At least, like, I'm not. Maybe you would be okay with it, but like, it didn't really excite me when I started doing the math. So then you get to 100 grand invested. All right, 100 grand at 10%. All right, 10 grand. Cool. Made one like average month of income. I mean, not necessarily at my average, but you get the idea, right? Like the point in that, and I know 10 grand a month isn't really average for per se necessarily everyone, but it's also not 1%. You know, it's not bad, it's not good. It's like somewhat of something in the middle. But what do you do with that, right? You made 10 grand over the course of 12 months. You made a little less than $1,000 extra a month. I mean, cool. Like, cool. You know, it covers car payments, gas, some food, depending on your lifestyle though. Because at the same time, if you have $100,000 invested, do you really care? I don't know if you would. At least I don't. So, okay, now if it's not 100,000 invested, let's say it's $1 million invested. Okay, $1 million, now you made 100 grand. Now we're starting to get into more like, okay, cool. Now I don't have to worry about money anymore, right? And so that's always the idea here. Unless you're starting to get some like really, you know, top level, you know, trade picks, whatever stock picks or crypto picks or whatever, you know, where you're getting 20, 30, 40, 50, you know, you're 2xing, 10xing your money type of concepts, which, let's be real, you know, that's not a everyday thing, right? And especially if you're not careful, listen to the financial markets and crypto episode, and you'll probably get some good knowledge behind that point. So we want to be mindful to how investing is really going to work. Is it really, you know, something that you can do? One, as far as being able to really maximize the idea of what investing is supposed to offer, and like that utopia idea that investing will save you, because it will. You need to invest. Saving money will not save you. Investing money will, but investing $1,000 isn't going to change anything. So passive income is great. and active income is still better. Okay? Do not neglect your active income, because, I mean, how else? Are you really going to be waiting for all the money to compound? Because what happens if you're only making 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year? Okay, you make $500,000 in 10 years, but obviously there's expenses to living over the course of 10 years that will eat away at that $500,000. So you invest what, 100 grand, because you're really good about not doing that, 20% of your income straight up invested. Okay, cool. Now you can start to feel 10 grand, right? And so you could start to feel those 10 grand start to come in. We gotta be good with your money. A lot of people aren't. You think you can do it at 40, 50K? Because there are. Read The Millionaire Next Door, right? There's more than enough of these types of books that will give you the examples of the people who are good with their money. But between you and me, I don't know if I want to live that frugal. That's kind of why I work hard, isn't it? So I don't know about for you, but that's definitely the case scenario for me. All right. So bringing us back around to just some capital gains tax concepts. Biggest misconception, and then we're going to really wrap this up with clear-cut do's and don'ts. Right? We're just getting the concepts through the way. And so when it comes to capital gains tax, I think a lot of people, and I used to as well, think that capital gains tax is, you get a penalty, right? If you don't leave your money in there for at least a year, you're going to be penalized, right? Oh my goodness, if you're going to invest, be careful. No, that's not how that works. There is no penalty for investing into something and taking profits or pulling your money within 12 months. No penalty. The only thing that there is an incentive. You get an incentive when you take advantage of leaving your money in there for over 12 months. And the incentive, really, aside from a lower tax rate on that income, is that it's also getting deferred. Right, so you're not going to actually have to pay taxes on a lot of the income as you pay it, right? So you want to invest so that you don't have to worry about paying taxes. That's why 12 months, because taxes, right? Every year, taxes. This is where those points come from. So don't feel bad about taking profits, because all that's actually going to happen if you do decide to take profits or pull your money out within 12 months of investing it is that it's going to just be taxed at a normal rate. As if that was normal earned incomes for you, right? So if you were earning 30 grand and you earned 10 grand in your investments in that year that you pulled out within 12 months, boom. Now you just made 40 grand and you're going to get taxed on 40 grand, not 30 grand. That's it. Only thing that happens. So don't get too worried about it. Hodling is great, but you don't have to hold on for all life, right? You can hodl, but don't hold on forever. Don't HOF, I guess. That's just kind of a weird acronym, but you get the idea. It's weird. Don't do it forever. And then from there, last is obviously coming into do's and don'ts. So more explicitly, have a plan, right? Have an exit strategy. Know this is what I'm going to be doing, how I'm coming in, and how I'm walking out. And whether I like it or not, when that amount hits this number, I am taking profits, okay? Leading with a rational brain, reasonable investment so you can sleep at night, but trust the plan, all right? Don't trust your feelings. Your feelings aren't going to be useful here. So have the exit strategy, take the profits, right? Do have a plan, do trust the plan, do take the profits, do invest in what you believe in, okay? Easiest thing, if you're ever sitting there like, oh, what's worth investing in? It's like, well, what do you buy every day? I mean, if you're willing to buy it every day and you're the average person, the company's probably doing a good job. If you ever stop wanting to buy that product, stop investing in that company. That's a very easy rule of thumb. So do invest in what you believe in. Do invest in what you spend money on in a day-to-day. And do your research, all right? You want to play the long game. Long term. Investing is not a short term kind of thing. You can be a day trader, but again, it's just all about capital. Are you really going to day trade over $1,000? Are you really going to day trade over 10 grand? are you really going to day trade over 100 grand? Why? Why not just go? There's so many other options and so many better options. But with that, play long term. Do dollar cost average or lump sum average. Dollar cost average, DCA, is when every week, let's say on Thursday, you put in $20, or every Thursday you put in $100, right? Or every Thursday or every Monday, like every regular interval, you're buying a fixed amount of whatever, right? Lump sum averaging, I don't advise for people that are new to investing or new to following trends, because you're not going to really, the idea is that time in the market is better than timing the market. So lump sum averaging is a very good option, but with it, you'll want to have larger amounts, and basically you're just buying the dip very aggressively. That's basically what's going to happen. Anytime that it's dipping, you buy a lot. That's lump sum averaging. Because then with that, do diversify into the industries that you are knowledgeable about. Okay, don't just FOMO. Don't just buy stuff because other people are doing it. Buy and invest into the things that you actually feel confident about, right? And do stop while you're ahead. Okay, I promise you. That alone will save you a lot of money. So you do not want to neglect your active income. Do not neglect your active income. Do not invest money that you can't afford to lose. Do not trust your emotions. Only hodl and not take profits. Don't do that. Do not only hodl and not take any profits. That completely defeats the point of investing. Don't invest into the hype. Don't play short term. Don't sell high. For all my crypto bros out there, okay? Buy low, sell high, right? But my crypto guys get it. They know that it's all about buying high and selling it when it's super low. That's the only way that you really make profits. Because there was actually a story about a millionaire, super cool dude, and just being in crypto for like, I think a week, went from being a millionaire to only having $10. It's nuts. No, I'm kidding. But that doesn't have to be you. As long as you are investing into things that you know about, don't follow the adrenaline, okay? These are very simple do's and don'ts. Save yourself the time, save yourself the headache. It's your money, dude. Be careful with it. Just really do your research, okay? Especially when it comes to crypto. You'll hear about it in the other episodes that I've already released. But just be careful when it comes to investing. The world's real shaky, right? Especially right now, at the time of this being aired, we are going into a recession here in the United States. So for those that have the income, and this is why active income is important, good time. Everything's on discount. If you're not keeping an active income, you're going to feel it because it's probably harder to keep investments. And if you don't have investments to float you during hard times, I'm not sure what you've got. So you need to start to fix that. All right. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to this episode again. As always, I want to leave you with some love. Make sure to always be present, to love deeply, and to aim higher. My name again is Eduardo de las Cuevas. I'm your host. This is the Gen Ed Show, and we'll see you next time.